Tom Ziegler with MMA On The Rise, bringing you the best in mixed martial arts and combat sports. Tonight we have another fight from Fight Lab 23, Charlotte, North Carolina. Top 205er Cliff Thompson against Ryan, the American Nightmare Houston. Stay tuned.
Please bring to me out of the blue corner, Cliff Thompson.
I just be like, fuck you, what you need, you can't get nothing from me. You was talking shit, now I'm somebody you would love me. I'ma do my thing until the day to read the cup for me. You can keep on
MMA On The Rise here at Coyote Joe's in Charlotte, North Carolina for Fight Lab 23. I'm your host, Tom Ziegler, along with the fight tech Paul Boo and Tony Ninja Daddy Tan.
Sounds like that name's gonna stick, Tony. He keeps using it.
I'm gonna make it stick.
I'm gonna keep shaking my head every time you say it too.
Right now we got Cliff Thompson coming to the cage. He is currently 6-1, a very good record. He's got 83 of his wins, 83% of his wins by stoppage. So he is finishing a lot of his fights. 50% of that is TKO and 33% of that is submissions. So his one loss was by TKO, but he's built up an impressive record at 6-1. He's 33 years old, 6'2" at 206.
Yeah, he won his first amateur belt in Elite Championship Cage Fighting 17 against Ben Perry. He then lost that title in his next fight to Joseph Pacheco. He's looking to rebound and get back on the win streak. I don't know, does he have plans to go pro or does he want to get an amateur belt back? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, he's got, like I said, he had a win streak of 5 fights in a row, 6 fights in a row, and then his last fight was a loss to Joe Pacheco. But Joe Pacheco is a beast. I mean, you know, to lose to Joe Pacheco it's a loss, but it's one of those things that, you know, he's stopping a lot of people. So
no doubt, no shame. His opponent tonight's going to be Ryan, the American Nightmare Houston, 29 years old, entering the cage with an amateur record of 2-2. So he is bringing some experience to the cage, but not quite what Cliff Thompson is bringing. So a little step up in competition for Ryan Houston.
Now Ryan is actually coming off of a 2-loss streak. He won his first 2 fights against Ryan Cloping and Arthur Barr back in 2011 and early 2011, and then in later mid-2011 he took a loss to Chris Davis and Justin Bonds at Elite Championship Cage Fighting. So now he's fighting tonight to try to get back in the winner's circle.
He's coming in out of Team Full Circle, which we've seen good things out of this team's fighters. Bruce Gunter, Ben Perry, a number of different fighters coming out of there. We've seen them fight before. They've got good, well-rounded skills. They train all aspects of MMA. And
you know, and we've talked about this before. They list themselves as overall MMA school. I do know they list themselves as having a Hapkido background, which is more of a traditional art. But they tend to all show wrestling skills. Every one of them seems to have a good wrestling base.
Yeah, Justin Bonds was the last fight for Ryan Houston. That was actually back in August, and here we go again. Another layoff. You wonder if he's been working on his game and what type of improvements he's bringing to the cage tonight.
Yeah, he's going off of approximately 8-month layoff, so he's had some time to work on his game.
This fight is brought to us by Greg Briley Photography, and it's 3 rounds in the light heavyweight division. First, the fighter standing to my right. This young man comes to us from High Point, North Carolina. He stood 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighed in at 205 pounds. He has an impressive MMA record of 6 wins versus only 1 loss. Representing Evolution Fight Academy, he is the former ECCF Amateur Light Heavyweight Champion. Give it up for Cliff Thompson! And now, the fighter standing to my left. This young man comes to us from Marshall, North Carolina. He is 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he also weighed in at 205 pounds. He also carries an impressive amateur MMA record of 3 wins versus 2 losses. This young man was the 2012 Asheville Tough Man Champion. Give it up, representing Full Circle Martial Arts, the Rhino, Ryan Houston!
This looks like it's going to be pretty exciting fight. Both of these guys are both big athletic guys.
Yeah, you look at Thompson's record, he finishes fights. I think only 1 fight of his actually went to a decision. And Houston, previous tough man champion.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I believe it was 83% for Cliff Thompson, according to his official record, 83% finishes.
And here we go with round 1.
Both these guys coming from good gyms. Cliff Thompson immediately goes in for the shot, ends up against the cage with a single underhook.
Yeah, Houston's last fight against Justin Bonds, he lost it. His wrestling, or lack thereof, was what lost it for him.
Well, he had an underhook defending, but he let it go, and now he's taking an overhook on one side, and he's got a shallow underhook on the far side.
Thompson reaching down for an ankle pick, perhaps.
Yeah, Houston got the wrist control there, trying to keep that from happening.
I think Houston would be better served by backing his right arm up and trying to get an underhook on his right side. The way that Thompson's got him turned right now, there's a good chance he's going to be able to elevate Houston.
Yeah, if Thompson's able to pull Houston's hips just a little bit, I mean, he's going to go down.
Now the reversal.
Houston holding onto the head, maybe perhaps looking for a restart.
Now the way they've switched their hips, Houston having the underhook on the side that he has it on his left side, with his hips sticking out to that left side, is a little bit better positioning than what he had. But Cliff Thompson's really starting to work his body, throwing some body shots there, trying to loosen him up. Now the ref breaks him up, wants to see a little bit more action.
They go back to the center of the cage. See if we can land some strikes.
It definitely looks like Cliff Thompson is aware that Ryan Houston had some problems with him wrestling in the past, because Cliff Thompson is he's coming in there looking for that shot, looking for that takedown, and Houston's actually standing in a sort of almost an awkward kind of low stance. Looks like he's trying to avoid being taken down.
So far it's working for him, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's showing some decent takedown defense. Not the perfect of technique, but it's been effective. Thompson hasn't been able to take him down at all.
Yeah, the technique, there's kind of classic technique that people tend to use, and when you see anything outside of that, it tends to come across, lack of a better term, as awkward, but it does not necessarily mean ineffective. there's a lot of different styles, a lot of different ideologies out there, and there's more than one of them that work. It's really a matter, anymore it's not so much about style as it is who's able to implement the game plan that they're trying to, they came in with. Whoever's able to set the pace and just sort of impose their will on the other guy. It's definitely sort of turned into a little bit of a wrestling match here.
The referee breaks him up again. They go to the center of the cage. The crowd starting to give their displeasure. They continue to grapple and hand fight against the cage as the round ends.
I'm Jeff Earnhardt, and when I'm not racing, I'm training for MMA. And when I'm not doing that, I'm watching MMA On the Rise.
Honestly, Houston did a good job of not being taken down, but he wasn't very aggressive at all, didn't land any shots at all. I mean, if you're scoring that round, you'd still have to give it to Thompson, even though neither fighter did anything.
Yeah, neither one of them really did anything, but I think as far as a mental victory, Houston's got to feel confident. I was able to stop his takedown, so now he's going to be more confident in his stand-up ability. He might be more willing to let his hands go a little bit.
Open it up, absolutely.
Back into the cage they go.
Now again, it looked like he tried to fire some strikes right off the bat. Houston there, a couple stiff jabs, but Cliff threw one shot over the top and said, "That's it. I'm going for the takedown."
Well, Houston's finally spun himself off the cage, and he's the one pressing the action.
But he's not really creating space. If he wanted to get to strike, he needs to, create that space and let his hands go. There he goes. He tries.
Big right hand by Thompson.
But he eats the right hand for doing it. So Thompson sort of capitalized on that. Now Thompson takes mount.
Yeah, Houston's in trouble here with Thompson on top of him. That's a big athlete. Trying to use the cage. Thompson's holding his base. Throwing strikes.
This is exactly what Houston was trying to avoid in the first round. And he did try to open up, throw some strikes, and he actually opened up a little too much and gave Thompson the opportunity to land a shot and get the takedown.
Yeah, I think Thompson definitely had the more experience in wrestling, and eventually he was going to get that takedown.
It looks like Houston's able to work his way back to half guard. So he's not fully mounted now. But Cliff Thompson's working hard on that bent arm bar, pinning the arm down. Kind of luckily for Houston, this is an amateur fight. In North Carolina, in amateur fights, elbows are not allowed, because from that position, I'm sure Thompson will be raining some elbows from there. Because in that low posture like that, it's hard to get off punches, but you can drop short elbows very easily. Right now, he's dropping little pop shots with his right. Those are going to add up, and if Houston isn't able to free himself and better his position, the ref's going to start questioning how much longer he's going to let this fight go. But I think Thompson needs to posture up and put a little bit more power into it to get the ref to really consider stopping it.
Look at the strength of Thompson. He's just holding Houston's right hand down without any problem whatsoever, just with his hand. Houston hasn't moved it off the mat in the last minute.
Yeah, I don't really see him shrimping the guard or using the cage to try to establish a better position. He's just eating shots and trying to avoid them.
Yeah, and Thompson's not even really trying to take his mount. I mean, he has every opportunity to pull his leg out there, and he's just not doing it. And
Houston just now got his right hand free.
Oh, and Houston scrambles, and it looks like he might have gotten out of it. Thompson's hanging onto that single leg.
Thompson had his back momentarily, but he was way too high. They both scrambled. Looks like we're going to end the round in this awkward position here.
My name is Jordan Ronaldo.
This is Joe Pacheco.
I'm Solon Stanley. Keith Richardson.
I'm Curtis Clower.
Shane Crenshaw.
We are the Hooter Girls.
Vanilla Gorilla.
Kevin Ferrant.
This is Adrian A. Henderson.
I'm Jason Fagler Jr.
Fernando Acero.
We're the Hooter Girls.
You're watching it.
You're watching.
You're watching.
You better be watching.
And you're watching.
Watching.
Are you watching?
And you're watching.
MMA.
MMA.
MMA ON THE RISE.
MMA on the rise. MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
On MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
So Houston's really he's gonna have to knock him out. I don't see him having the advantage on the ground. It looks like Thompson's got the advantage on the ground. To win this fight, Houston's gonna have to come out. He's gonna have to really throw bombs and try to knock him out, because if this fight gets locked up again, Thompson's probably gonna end up either grinding it out or getting him down and pounding him out. So Houston's really gonna have to turn it up this round and come out there and look for bombs.
Thompson definitely looked better that second round once he got the takedown.
Yeah, he's taking some deep breaths over there in his corner. And Houston's getting instructions from his coaches. Takes a last swig of water. And he's ready to go for your final round, third round coming up.
Round 3, final 3 minutes.
Fight Lab would like to thank Kenny Letts and Charles Philly Johnson for sitting down so people behind them can see. Thank you, Philly and Kenny.
Fighter's tusk gloves in the center. Let's see what Houston does here. He's definitely down 2 rounds to none.
Houston looks like he's stalking Thompson this time. Finally, Thompson decides to step forward, backs Houston up. Back to the clinch, and back to the cage.
Houston is trying to create space there to land the shots, but he's backing straight up. He needs to use some, step sideways a little bit, use some side angle footwork. But every time Thompson rushes at him, he just backs straight up. That time he actually cut a little angle, and he's actually having some success, a couple little small shots because of it. Again, he's backing straight up, and then Thompson just pushes him into the cage.
He's landed some light uppercuts in that clinch, but nothing that's going to deter Thompson from moving forward.
Thompson got a good uppercut in there at the end.
Houston's doing a little bit better job now, about landing a few shots here or there and fighting off the clinch, but it looks like he finally gives in, and Thompson's able to pin him on the cage.
The fighters break.
Yeah, Houston breathing out of his mouth now. He looks pretty tired. He's going to have to muster up some energy. Takes a right hand. Back against the cage. He's got his hips. He's going to take him down. Good takedown by Thompson. He's got good side position. He'll cross face, try to posture, and land some strikes.
Just could have sold it for him here. I mean, he already had the first 2 rounds, but Houston's one chance was landing that shot from standing, and now with Thompson on top of him again, and the way he was able to control him in the second round, I find it hard to imagine Houston be able to work his way out of here.
Got to give credit to Houston, though. He avoided most of the takedowns that Thompson had against him, knowing that his wrestling was probably the weaker attribute of his fight game.
Yeah, Houston tried a little scramble there, tried to come up, but got up to his knees, but Thompson was able to push him back over and take full mount. Now Thompson's actually posturing up. This is where it could be a little bit more dangerous for Houston now, because Thompson's posturing up and starting to rain the punches down.
At this point, Houston has got to move. He's got to get off the bottom. He's got to do something, some sort of Hail Mary, because he's losing this fight right now.
Yeah, he tried to buck, but I think he just doesn't have anything left. And he's got a very powerful athlete on top of him, raining punches with a good base. He's got his feet hooked pretty good against his sides. He's keeping a good base. It's going to be hard to buck him off.
Looks like he's eating some shots there.
Yeah, he's trying to fight back from the bottom, but those are ineffective.
He needs to use his crossface a little bit more. If he was able to crossface, if Thompson was to crossface with one arm and then drop the punch with the other, he's going to have a little more success.
His charm is so contagious, vaccines have been created for it. Years ago, he built a city out of blocks. Today, over 600,000 people live and work there. He is the only man to ever ace a Rorschach test. Every time he goes for a swim, dolphins appear. Alien abductors have asked him to probe them. If he were to give you directions, you'd never get lost, and you'd arrive at least 5 minutes early. His legend precedes him, the way lightning precedes thunder. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't always watch mixed martial arts, but when I do, I watch MMA on the Rise. Stay healthy, my friends.
Judges scored in favor 30-27. You're a winner. Out of the La Paz blue corner, Cliff Thompson!
And there you have it. Cliff Thompson with the unanimous decision victory. Again, he'll go to 7-1, and Ryan Houston will fall to 2-3. You are watching MMA on the Rise.
Thanks for watching another exciting episode of MMA on the Rise. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at MMAOTR.
You can also like us on Facebook.
You can also visit us at MMAOnTheRise.tv.
And now you can follow us on Twitter at MMAOTR.
We'll see you next time on MMA on the Rise.